Morning, guys. Happy Monday. Hope you're off to a great start to your week. A busy one at that. Uh-oh. We're watching PBS's Super Why, great reading show here at our household. And three things I think you should know today. And we're going to just start off with some of the real basics, which is that Congress is back in session today. So we haven't had so many headlines coming from Washington, D.C. from lawmakers because they've been back usually in their home districts or traveling. This is when they schedule different travel. So everyone is going to be returning to Washington, D.C. probably tonight. Full sessions likely begin tomorrow. I don't have the exact calendar in front of me, but that's usually the case. One of the big questions this week is about Attorney General Barr and whether or not he will continue to testify in front of these House committees that he's agreed to testify, at least one House committee he's agreed to testify in front of. There's been a little bit of tension about that testimony. He says it'll continue. We'll see. The reason why we're looking at this is because of course, the special counsel report and its release, and a question about what pathway Democrats are going to pursue. It doesn't look like they're going to pursue impeachment of the president, but they could. And the investigations, regardless, will continue because that is the job of the House of Representatives, is oversight. And when one party controls the House, their investigations take a different tenor than the other parties. So we'll continue to kind of watch what's happening in the news there. If anything sort of tilts in one direction, of course, we'll let you know. One of the things that's been talked a lot about in the meantime has been immigration, as well as infrastructure spending. There seems to be some daylight between Democrats and Republicans that maybe there could be some sort of infrastructure spending bill of some sort. But I have to caution you guys, we are quickly into this election cycle, as we talked about in the week review. So the thought that any sort of major legislative victories could happen is unlikely as we get closer into summer. Once we get through summer and we're a year away from the election, it gets really tough, which means not a lot gets done, unfortunately. But you never know. Circumstances could change. So, that could motivate people. It's just typically that's what people tend to spend more time in their home districts campaigning, and the focus is just elsewhere. But that's what you should know. Congress is back in session today. Another thing you should know about is, of course, the measles outbreak. I'm talking to you about 8 o'clock Central Time. Around midday, the CDC is going to release new numbers about what the last week has looked like nationwide as far as measles outbreaks. So far, we had a handful of outbreaks in different states. That's more than 3 cases. So it's not like the movie Outbreak, but it's more than 3 cases. The focus is really on LA County, where there has been students and teachers and staff members quarantined from major universities like UCLA because of concerns about a measles spreading. A scenario goes like this. Someone comes into the library, they are diagnosed with measles later on. Whoever was in the library has to show their immunization records to someone to show that they're they've been vaccinated for the measles. If they can't, they're sent home where they're supposed to stay for a week to see if they develop symptoms. That's the way the quarantine has gone, more or less. We don't have official number. We have some numbers from LA County about different measles cases, but the CDC will be best to have numbers. And again, midday, we get them every Monday. They give a weekly update. So we're nearing the numbers nationwide. There's a lot of folks that say, well, measles doesn't really kill anyone. But measles cases, it's like one in two cases in 1,000 can kill people. And that's about the statistics. But hospitalizations will happen, and especially for the young, it's a problem. Can lead to hearing loss, amongst other things. So we're getting to the levels where it becomes more dangerous. Where you have 100 cases of measles, you may not see any deaths. If you have 1,000 cases of measles, you might see some deaths. And so just statistically, so that's something you should know about as well. And then finally, there, of course, was this deadly shooting at a synagogue in San Diego over the weekend. And this happened 6 months to the date of another deadly shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania. The attack in Pittsburgh was the deadliest attack against U.S. American Jews in American history. 11 people died there. One person died in the attack this weekend in this shooting. Several others were injured. And sometimes the timing of the events, you just have to kind of pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's a coincidence and what isn't. Clearly, 6 months to the date of the previous shooting, there's a lot of questions raised about the timing of the attack by this young man that was arrested. I wouldn't say young man, but 19 years old, didn't fight police. He was arrested, and he will be charged officially this week, and many think he's going to be charged with a hate crime. Excuse me, I have allergies. And but before the attack, I get all the press releases from the White House. It can get very, very overwhelming. Um, and sometimes proclamations happen that, it's not really news. But I was rereading some of my emails this weekend, and I saw that on April 26th, which was Friday, the president had declared a week of days of remembrance for the Holocaust, starting on Sunday, going through next Sunday. So during this week, the United States government had made a proclamation to remember the Holocaust. And the reason is that during this time in 1945, American forces liberated several different Nazi concentration camps. Not all concentration camps were liberated during this time. There were some several months earlier and some several months after. It wasn't like one swoop, but this is kind of a crucial time where American forces helped liberate Nazi concentration camps, and the Days of Remembrance are to do just that, to remember the evil that was behind that. So, does that have any connection to the shooting? Probably not. I don't think this individual is reading presidential proclamations, but you can't ignore the timing. You can't ignore the timing of it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting note on history, just to realize that happened so many years ago. And here we're having a conversation that's very different, but we're talking about hate directed towards the Jewish community. Now, separately, just want to ask you a quick question. You can DM me or you can email me, info@smarternews.com. We're taking a look at hate crimes in America because there's a lot of statistics being thrown around about hate crimes and whether or not we have a rise in hate crimes or not. And different data points show us different things. So you're going to see that on our site. We're going to kind of digest that all for you. You probably see tomorrow, if not the next day. We just want to really double check our numbers. My question for you is, do you feel that America is more divisive than ever before? I had a great conversation with a group of young women last week, and we were talking about this. Is that the reality, that America is more divisive than ever before, more hate-filled than ever before? Or is that something that the media is projecting? Or is that something that you feel? I'm curious what your thoughts are about that, because divisiveness, whether we're seeing that as a theme for political campaigns or a question raised on crimes, whether it's this crime in San Diego or any others, is something that we see repeated in the press. So I'm curious, how do you feel in your personal life? Do you feel we're more divisive, more hateful towards each other? Or do you think that's not how you would describe it? Curious what you think. All right, guys, have a great day. Enjoy the starts of your week, and it's going to be May this week. I know that's not big news, but when I looked at the calendar, I was like, what just happened? All right, guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you later.